So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for being here today with us online for the second webinar of the GATE project, granting accessible tourism for everyone. We will have today with us experts from the field. The topic of today is handicap, disabilities and inclusion. The partner of the GATE project, Salzburg Research, in the name of the person of Guntram Geser, senior researcher, will describe the GATE project result for inclusive tourism. Luca Comunello, Vice President of the Association Concadoro, will describe the methodology, vision, and mission behind the social pharma project started and established at Concadoro, aiming at growing the sense of belonging. And finally, Andrea Giarretta, who is project manager of the Mind Inclusion 2.0 project, and Alice Segalina, who is program coordinator at Cooperativa Margherita, and Valeria Zenon, who is a psychotherapist also within the Mind Inclusion project, will present this project, the main activities, the methodologies, and the results. The project aims at fostering inclusion in public spaces for people with disability throughout the use of an Android application, and they will explain you better how it works. And finally, I would like to remind you that the next workshop will take place on the 25th of November. The same topic, but it will be in Italian. And then we will have two last appointments on the 2nd and on the 9th of December on best practices on inclusive tourism. Again, the first one in English and the last one will be in Italian. So if you have any question, don't hesitate to contact me. This is my email address, eva@aldaintranet.org. I thank you very much for your attention, and I leave the floor to Guntram. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
So, welcome everybody to this Go to GATE workshop. Thanks for your interest. My name is Guntram Geser from Salzburg Research. I'm one of the partners in the GATE project. And briefly, what is this project about? Our main goal is to demonstrate and disseminate ways how to make touristic areas, attractions offer more accessible for people with different disabilities. We have a special focus because this is funded by the Interreg Italy Austria program under the European Regional Development Fund. And so our focus in terms of territory is the alpine and pre-alpine regions. And also we mainly focus on natural environments, outdoor environments, so not hotels and this kind of things, buildings, but natural heritage areas, hiking paths, nature parks, these kinds of offerings and attractions. And we also have a specific focus on using digital services, content to support access to online, of course, online information about offers and on-site. So here's the list of partners. So UNESCO Dolomites Foundation is the coordination. There is the Social Cooperative Independent in Merano, the municipality of Santorso, the Parco part of the Italian Alpine Club, University of Innsbruck, specializing in tourism, and Salzburg Research. So first of all, let me just show you this. We have three Leitmotifs, so main topics, main themes, activities in the project. One is Together Inclusive. This is mainly about bringing together the stakeholders, because all stakeholders in this accessible tourism or inclusive tourism must get together, work on solutions together. To remove existing barriers to accessibility, And our focus is, as I said, nature tourism, parks. So it's about enjoying nature. So how can we help people with different disabilities to access natural environments, enjoy them, and so on. Here is a bit more detail about this. So the Together Inclusive motive, this is about enabling inclusiveness together. So all stakeholders, these are, for example, regional policymakers, of course, the local service providers, not only the touristic ones, but also, for example, public transport, also shops and so on. This everything should be accessible, as also demanded meanwhile by the convention and national laws. Of course, the local population should support this. And importantly, it's not only about tourists, because when you implement accessible solution, so it's also for the local population. And for example, when people travel, go to areas, for example, hiking area, it's often in their neighborhood. They know a lot about it. And if this is improved, it's also an opportunity for disabled people in the region. Of course, there is a lot of social community platforms, social media, of groups of people who get together and want to progress the agenda for more inclusive tourism around across Europe and beyond. Then the removing barriers. This is about, first of all, physical access to areas, routes, places, because do you want to enjoy that? We want to visit a nature park and so on. And then this is important, having information about, is this area, this path accessible? Can I go there? Will I have problems? And so on. So this is about online information, first of all, so that you know before, okay, I can go there. Others have said it's possible, for example, for people with mobility disabilities. And and the next thing then, of course, is enjoying nature, having access to it, experiences. Also, in our project, we have different application solutions to enhance this accessibility. And I will have a special focus in this presentation on these pilot sites just to give you the flavor and examples how this can be improved. Of course, we have different products from the project. For example, we will come up with guidelines. There will be a handbook, for example, which will include experiences, lessons learned from these pilots. We also have our own training content, so videos with test questions, for example, for students, others who want to learn about different topics. And there are, for example, physical adaptations in these pilot regions and so on. So let's go on to these examples. We have what we call the pilot sites. We have 4 of them. For example, in the Geopark Blätterbach, there is one solution in virtual reality, because it's different to access this famous gorge, where you can learn about the history of geology of the area and so on. And this group also includes other applications like a web app guide with QR codes for hiking trails, a Blätterbot chatbot, and so on. Another one is interactive adventure chatbot for the Parco Rossi. Our gate pilot is about hikes for families with small children, for example, with a stroller. And there is also the Sentiero della Sensibilità, which has been specifically adapted for accessibility. And there is a web app and so on. So let's look into this in more detail, just to give you the flavor. What you see here is the Blätterbach Gorge, and you can access that but it's very difficult for people with mobility problems, also visual problems. And so virtual reality experience of this gorge and the area has been developed, and you can use one of these head-mounted displays in the museums, in a museum, to actually fly through this gorge, learn about it, and so on. Another example, the Parco Rossi in Santorso. This is a large historic park with a villa and so on. And they have worked to make this accessible since many years. So they have a basic multimedia environment for people to learn about it. But in our project, they have specifically implemented a chatbot-based interactive adventure game where you can go through the park and learn about it. And of course, this is in different languages, and it's multimedia, so auditive content for people who are blind, and so on and so on. But there are many other things. For example, one image here below, you see how the terrain has been adapted, so people with a wheelchair can go through it. Or for example, there is on the left hand this tactile map of the park, so you can explore it. When you come to the park, you can explore it by hands, so learn about the areas, information, and so on. Another example from Parco Rossi, they have developed this 3D model, or this relief here, where people can in tactile way learn about the villa. And this model also talks to you, so it tells you about the villa history, architecture, and these things. Another example, this is a lot of information. This is our application. We have a web platform just based on WordPress with OpenStreetMap behind it. And this provides access to information about these over 80 hikes in the Pongau region, so one region of Salzburg. And you can search this in different ways. There is basic information about these hikes. You can download then the information, actually all information, also the maps, and so on. And especially users can also rate hikes, so with stars, and they can also upload content, comments, and content, so own images. So this will be enhanced. Of course, for all projects, one problem was, of course, the Corona impact. So some colleagues could, like us, we could really develop very fast because we have all this just online. And others who implemented things on the ground, they had, of course, a lot of difficulties. But we actually managed to get this off in July, and also do promotion for it. And we have some first results, and we will continue with this in the next year, because the summer season has ended. So all these areas when you can go into natural environments, they will become difficult to access then in later autumn, winter. And also this example, this is the fourth pilot site of GATE. You see here there has been one of these hiking trails of 24 kilometers has been adapted specifically to be accessible. You see here down on the left hand, people really worked there. They adapted it. They made it accessible with wheelchair and so on. They have also implemented a signage system. So where to go, the direction, and there is this Sentiero della Sensibilità web app. And there are info points with so-called e-beacons. So when you walk the trail and get near to that beacon, it triggers information on your web app and gives you information about the natural history, cultural history, specific interesting points, and so on, stories, and so on. Well, so there are a lot of opportunities to use digital tools, digital content, to make information about sites, in this case, natural sites, better accessible in terms of information, but you also need, of course, in the first place, you need it on the ground, so people can access your site, your trail, and so on. Okay, then I would like to mention a fifth site. This is not a formal gate pilot site, but Patscherkofel in Innsbruck. Patscherkofel, that is a cable cart up to the mountains, a traditional skiing area. And this cable car, so the stations, so where you enter the car, actually the parking place, everything has been made barrier free. So the cable car stations, the restaurants, other areas, and cable cars are of course important because people with disabilities can access the mountains, be up on the mountains, enjoy views. And if there are hiking trails, easy ones, they can also enjoy walking there, being in nature, and so on. And this site has been used by our partner in Innsbruck, University of Innsbruck, the tourism group, to conduct interviews with stakeholders. So on the left hand, people with disabilities went up there. There have been interviews, and these interviews, and also of course video from things that have been adapted. For example, entrances, everything is a topic of 2 training videos that have been developed. And this comes also with test questions, so that, for example, students can learn about principles of barrier-free tourism, what to requirements and everything. Okay, then. We had also, of course, a lot of study work there, and also so-called reports. I didn't want to go too much into it because this is things you have to read, you have to think about. But we have, of course, from the pilot side, we conduct a monitoring, evaluation, what worked well, what has to be considered, and so on. And lessons learned from this will be included in the GATE handbook, which also will include, for example, topics like why is it important, inclusive tourism, what advantages are there, and so on and so on. We also conducted a study on signage. So how do you communicate that a touristic offer is actually barrier-free when there are different disabilities? And a specific focus was on multisensoric signs. Multisensoric signs, that is when you have, for example, what you see on the left hand, a tactile map, so people can explore the area by their fingers. You can include braille as additional information. On what you see on the right hand below, if you can use, for example, wood, you can do engravings there, so people can see that sign, but they can also use their fingers to see see and experience what is it. And this is, for example, a sign of a trail where they use these engravings of different animals to indicate different routes you can take. So we have explored this. We have many examples of this. So this is very interesting when you want to make areas more accessible with different senses to learn about it. So, and we also have a set of recommendations, so-called GATE guidelines on how to become an inclusive nature tourism region. And of course, this is then grouped according to our leitmotifs. So together inclusive, stakeholders have to work together, how to remove barriers, how to make nature more accessible. And just the final point to highlight this, really highlight this, this is under the Together Inclusive team, so the stakeholders. It's really important that you get together all stakeholders. So, for example, government agency, tourism service provider, organizations of disabled people. Also, for example, public service, public transport providers, and so on, to work together and develop solutions together. So in this case, for example, our colleagues in Innsbruck have conducted stakeholder interviews to explore common topics, requirements, and they learned that stakeholders are highly aware of the topic of accessible tourism, but also of the challenges. So for example, one challenge there is there are in Tyrol, but also in almost all other regions, many diverse information platforms with some information about accessible offers they have developed so locally, but it would be important to have one platform with all this information integrated. They also established an expert group to progress this agenda in Tyrol. I choose two statements from this interview. So one is about the legislation behind it. So legislations, rules. One statement, for example, pressure from the legislation is very important. Without pressure, it wouldn't work at all. So it's really important to have a legal base for it, Europe-wide, locally, what to do, what to consider, and so on and so on. Another one, this goes back to these questions of information portals. One interviewer said, if I did not have to click through 3,000 websites, mostly evaluated differently, so it would help a lot, and this would have a lot of huge potential. So we have a lot of exploration in the project and also reports about it, but always think in the end what we want to get is that people can access places, areas, nature, everything without problems, and all other work is just for that, to enable this. So thank you, Dan. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Gunther, for showing us how the GATE project allowed to remove some barriers and made nature accessible for people with disabilities. Thank you very much. I would then leave the floor to Luca Comunello, Vice President of Concadoro Association, to present their project, their social farm project. Thank you, Luca. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much in advance. My English is not so good as the Guntram one, so I apologize as well in advance. I basically lead a project in Bassano del Grappa, which is a small city nearby Vicenza, nearby Venezia. So we are in the Veneto, nearby Santorso as well. And we work mainly with mentally disadvantaged people. So from 60 years old to older one until 50, 60 years old. We work in the social farm framework, so something who connects the agriculture to the social services. I made a little presentation. I hope it's understandable for everyone. Let me check if I share the screen. Okay. So starting with a bit of history about our association that has become a cooperative right now. We started in 15 to 20 years ago on the paper, and everything started with the contribution of the Pirani Cremona Foundation. So we were like a startup project from this foundation, and we had the luck to be supported by an equal project, UA project, and phase 2 that to be practical, we were a partner, not the leading organization, but we joined as partner. So we joined as partner for the daily activities. daily activities, because we, as a social farm, we also have a community. So we host 10 people residentially. Plus, we have 25 people who comes to the farm for working daily. With the Equal project, together with other partners, we started those daily activities with users that lead to the foundation of agricultural cooperative for the inclusion of disadvantaged people as well. The ONLUS, the association, so started to bring other services, as example, for the community. And right now, we joined, we merged together the cooperative and the association in a social cooperative. We got the A role and the B role. So we have both of the community social service plus the work in field, basically the agricultural ones, in the same organization. We joined the Pictor network for making some new project in the Bassano area, working social and mixed project as well. And then we are former active members of some other networks who involve social farmings and organic farms in Veneto and Italy. So some milestone. We started on paper on 2001. We started our community in 2006. The Equal project in 2007. As you can see, the cooperative some years later. And then we started also working with autism on 2012. In those years, we had like 10 or more users with autism, different level of autonomy. So I will not say just autism, not only the softer level of autism, but also some deeply disadvantaged people with autism. And we started some leading project. And after a couple of years, we merged also autism users with other disability disadvantaged users. So the leading project dedicated to autism joined together with the normal projects. We have a lot of work to do as well, and we started in 2020, sadly with some slowdowns, some new ropes, and new working activity as well. Also because the daily users plus the internship plus the working disadvantaged people hired directly from the cooperative are grown, and we are about contemporary users like 30 to 45 and roughly 50 users at time some days. The COVID created some problems about that, but we tried to organize all the working fields to be independent and without communication to the others. We are 20 educators and social workers hired full time, plus 10 or so. I wrote field expert. So people, for example, who have a background in the working and working ability to the specialized field, like the the restaurant, the agriculture. We have some agronomists and etc. Most of all employers are women, and most of them are mom as well. And we provide some benefits for mothers and women to make some flexible working hours. And we provide as well some budget for the personal formation and qualification courses if someone is interested to make, for example, an extensive courses of, I don't know, on the organic farming, etc. We have some stakeholders briefly reporting there. So starting with the municipality and the local ASL, so the social service. And then we work also with the support of many foundations in local and in Italy. After all, we have those 4 frames of working activities, starting with the organic agriculture, who gives the main background and the way for everything. And we have some open field area, but also some greenhouse, some trees with olive and fruit trees, and some fields dedicated for the making of flour for the bakery. And we have an area for the restaurant, as well as a cafeteria, a bakery, a processing room for making for the transformation of the primary product to something transformed, like marmalade, jams, and whatever. And we have a sales area who covers the direct selling at the farm, who covers the farmer market. We joined the 2 farmer market at the moment. We do also deliveries since COVID as well. And then we also provide some third parts with reselling huge quantities of products. Or we were talking about later with the tourism part. We have no such activities in the tourism, but we have just a small camper area, and since 2 years we have a cycle path passing by just the farm. We didn't ask for, but the cycle path decided to pass. So it's not our project, but from the municipality of Bassano and Pove. But we had a benefit for it from the tourism that comes from the camper area, but also from a lot of people passing by the farm by bicycle. That was a good opportunity to invest in some fields like the restaurant and the cafeteria opening hours, and also on the sales. Unfortunately, the camper area was closed since February due to COVID restriction, and we didn't already making some good projects about the future of the camper area, because this year was closed by almost almost all the year. There are some information about our organic production. We have 12 hectares, and we contributed a bit on the recovery, on the requalification of the soil we found in 2006, because wasn't organic and was abandoned since 5 or maybe 10 years. So We planted a lot of bushes and trees for reporting some biodiversity and useful trees for the fields. And after this, we started also the shop, as you can see, the farmer market in Bassano, and some photos of the camper area. This is our restaurant. We prioritize the using of all raw materials in the restaurant. So we are, since we have no zootechnician activities, so no animals at the farm, we prioritize the vegetarian and vegans plates. Not only, but that's our core menu. Okay. Talking about some methodology about this farm and all the activities you can see should be something related with methodology, educational methodology with your user. And mainly the science 20 or more years ago, there is a movement about the social farming. And someone thinks that it's just the benefits of the nature and the benefits of being working on the open field. Someone says, always says that it's good to work in the nature, like, I don't know, Rousseau, as and many philosophers in the time. But I think that is not only about the agriculture, it's about the context of the farm. And mainly the framework of the farm could be an opportunity to develop those activities who have a beneficial impact on the user. Not because by the nature itself and because being out the open air is good itself, but because it's a good framework, is a flexible framework to develop some activity. There are some similarities between the organic agriculture, so without pesticide and chemical products, and the planning of the social work in a farm, mainly because you have to predict and to organize very well what you're doing. You cannot, in organic agriculture, you cannot use some panic buttons as a pesticide, something like this. And is something that we have also to do with the social, even the programs in the educative part. So the key is to plan, organize, verify, even in the agriculture, the working field, but even in the social projects. Our methodological approach was mainly the doing together. So even if there isn't a symmetrical and on the same level role between users and educators, we have some common action and common goals to reach. And this is something that for us is really important. Something is really important, but this COVID and the necessity to bring separate people and create less contact possible somehow put this methodology in a really bad place, because we needed to separate and we needed to do less things together. This is not simple to explain, but people, disadvantaged people mainly, has been carried for a since they were born. And they were carried at school, were carried at home, dedicated to different places, different activities. And the key with the agriculture and the working in the farm somehow change this perspective, because the user with disability starts to take care by himself to something. He's taking care of crops, taking care of, in case, animals, taking care about some working activities. This has changed the paradigm of the disadvantaged people in our society, and this changed the state. Plus, having a mixed approach, a mixed equipe, so with different backgrounds, different roles, but they work together because our educators and social workers join the same equipe in the same meetings of the working area. So we have not we didn't separate the equipe and the meetings. This approach brings mixed solution and unique solution. So it's also a work of creativity, because yes, farming and agriculture is simple, but it's not easy. Okay, so we need some unique approaches. And that's the metaphor, the main metaphor. During the previous years, the agriculture and the green therapy was seen as a tool, an educational tool. So we grow, we stay, and we stay on the greenhouse, on the open air, but it was an educational tool for reaching something good. We decide that the tomato planted, weeded, harvested by the user was not only an educational tool, was the goal. The goal not only for the user, but also for the equipe, for the workers. So this using the tomato not only as an educational tool gives some opportunities, because the tomato is not only something to care to care of, but also something that you can sell for. Selling this outside the farm or inside the farm creates some bonds between the users and the community. As well, eating the tomato at the restaurant is something similar and something evocative. But those bonds between the users and the local community is something that is not only dedicated to supporters of fundraiser of the cooperative, because the needing the social impact, the huge social impact we provide is create some bonds with users, so disadvantaged people, to people who doesn't care about the social part of the cooperative. We doesn't care about who already support and do voluntary activities on farm, but we need to reach the people who, for example, don't give nothing about the disability. We need to reach the people on the market, the real market. That's because the role of the disadvantaged people, of the autist people, and etc., needs to be ported to a real context, the real possible context. So why after all we need this this approach? Because we don't care about only the inclusion of those people, those users. It's not about just the inclusion in a framework, but it's about the growing their sense of belonging to the farm and to the organization, the pairs, and the project itself. Not because we somehow think of this in a mystical way, but because the sense of belonging is something that have some roots in the approach, in the educational approach we provide. It's something you can find in Maslow, it's something you can find in Durkheim, the opposite of the non-sense of belonging. So that's something that go after the inclusion, and we found that the social farm and the approach with the community, not only for being a social one, but for providing food, recover, and everything with our service, provide this real connection. I hope I presented it good as well, but I invite you also to see Concadoro with for in person, because there are so many things I cannot explain, and so many activities that is worth to see by yourself. We have some website and some social media links. You can take a brief look if you want, but the key is to see maybe not today, but in the next month, to see people working in there as a real benchmark of what I told you. So thank you for your time. I apologize again for my not so good English, and good evening if I don't see you later. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Luca, for explaining this very complex and comprehensive project. I would really like to come and visit you. We are not very far from where I live. So thank you very much, Luca. I think that Luca at 4 will have to leave. But I think that you can reach us out if you have any kind of questions directly for him, or you can type it down on the chat and we will send it to him later on. Yes. I give now the floor to Andrea to present the Mind Inclusion 2.0 project. The floor is yours, Andrea.
Hello, hi to everybody. Thank you, Eva, and thank you, Luca and Guntram, that spoke before me. So I will start also with a presentation. Let me try, it should work. And the presentation is about an Erasmus Plus project that we developed starting from 2018. But let's discover a little bit more. So, firstly, I wanted to present you who we are. So, me, it's Andrea Giaretta, and I'm part of Margherita Società Cooperativa, which is a social cooperative in the province of Vicenza, in the Veneto region in Italy. And we are an end-user organization, and we provide services for people with disability, elderly people, and minors or youth. So basically, we are directly working with people. Then within the partnership of the project Mind Inclusion, there is Social IT, which is a provider of IT services, and you will discover later on why it's important in our project. Then we have Intras Foundation, which is a research institute and also an end-user organization from Spain. The Polybenestar Research Institute from the University of Valencia. Well, ALDA, I will not present it because, no, I present it anyway, which is the European Association for Local Democracy Agencies. but I think that many of you know it very well. And then the Lithuanian Welfare Society for People with Intellectual Disability, which is another end-user organization for people with disability. So let's start to talk about what is this project that actually Cooperativa Margherita is leading. I will start from a long time ago, from 2015. And once upon a time, there was this small project that we did in Cooperativa Margherita called dovevado.eu. It was a research action aimed at discovering and recognizing the resources of a community to support the autonomy of people with disability. So the basic idea was to try to create a more inclusive community, to find out inclusive spaces in the community and to map them. In this way, having the possibility to reinforce the autonomy of people with disability. So this was the main idea, but and the output of this research action project was that we created an online database of the places that were considered inclusive by the users, so by people with disability. So this was the first project that we did about inclusion, public places, and technology. But the point is that this first experience was very small. The website, this database that we created with the places was not really accessible for people, especially for those with intellectual disability. And so we felt that something were missing. Okay, so starting from this small initiative that we had, and from something else, we decided to take action. So this something else that we think that we needed to start from was some false myths. Some false myths like the fact that inclusion is not feasible, because still there are people thinking about it. And the fact that technology is not accessible, because many times people tend to think about technology as something that is not really easy to use for people with disability. And the fact that co-design is only for people with similar cognitive skills. So these are some myths that we find and that we consider in creating this project Mind Inclusion 2.0. And also some risks that we consider. So the risk for people with disability to be excluded from the society. The fact that many people with disability experience psychological barriers in accessing public places. So the point is, there are many initiatives, there are several initiatives in Europe that are dealing with the problem of physical accessibility, but there are not so many initiatives that are talking about the cognitive or the psychological accessibility of a place. So you have people that maybe physically they have no problem, but they have some disability at a cognitive level, and that they experience difficulties which are not related with the physical barrier. So this dimension was not considered. Okay, then a low level of digital competencies for people with disability, but also the fact that we as end user organization, we see that still, even if digital tools are very common everywhere now, but they are not so much used in the work with people with disability in the majority of the cases. So, where we wanted to go? Starting from these needs, we thought, we identified our objective that was to contribute to the sustainable and inclusive involvement of people with disability in the society. How? Using technology and being user-oriented. So we want to change these myths that I presented before with some real facts. So we want to delete these myths and to create facts. We want to create and to promote the fact that inclusion must be for all. We want to promote the fact that technology is an instrument that can promote inclusion, that it can be used to promote inclusion and not a barrier. And the fact that even people with disability can participate in co-design activities if they are supported and facilitated in doing this. So the main idea with the project was that we wanted to generate innovation through training and to create tools available to at the European level. So this is let's say the basic from where we started from in doing this project. But let's go to something more concrete. So what we did finally with Mind Inclusion 2.0. Okay, so far we started like that. We decided in 2018 to start by training educators of people with intellectual disability about co-design accessible web tools. So this was very important in the initial phase of the project because we wanted to create a group of people able to work with people with disability and to co-create with them a web tool. To do this, we needed to train this educator and to have a co-creation framework. So a kind of structure in which we had to work and to have the correct approach to create something together with people with disability. So after this training, we co-design with people with disability through a series of sessions with them that my colleague Alice will explain after me. A series of sessions in which the people with disability were able to co-design with us an Android application through a participative process. This Android application is a kind of upgrade of the Dovevado.eu project that we saw before and allow to people with disability to assess how much they think that a place is inclusive for them. So there are different kind of evaluation measures that they can use to evaluate the degree of inclusiveness of a place. Of course, the app is it's very accessible because we created directly with people. People expressed what they wanted to be in that app, and it's easy to use and to read because we used also pictograms and facilitated icons and approaches. So it should be really, according to us, very accessible for everybody. Apart from the creation of the application, there is something more that we did and that we think it's very important because I mean the app is not a standalone. It's not a tool that we created to give in the hand of the user and say, okay, let's go where you want and use the app. Of course, this would be a dream if everybody can use it like that, but we created also a methodology connected to the app that can be used by educators, social workers, caregivers. Okay, this methodology is a methodology to promote inclusion at the community level through the use of the app. And this methodology, we are testing it now in the field, and Valeria will talk about this after Alice. Okay. So, of course, we trained some educators about this methodology and the use of the app. And now we are realizing the pilot activities, as I said. So what's missing now is, well, we're trying to promote this app and this methodology. And we are also preparing a publication on this facilitation methodology together with the University of Valencia and the University of Padua. Because, of course, we did all the tests pre and post in doing the pilots, and we will have some results soon. But I will give now the floor to Alice, my colleague.
Hi to everybody. So I give some information about the co-creation framework that we use in the project. Co-creation is an approach that we use because the best ideas come from people involved in the process, so from the end users. And co-creation is create with and not for people, for the end user. So in this project we involved the people with disability during all the phase of the project. and we create with them the product that is the hub, Mind Inclusion Hub. To do this, so to work with them, we prepared a lot of materials and tools to facilitate the co-creation process. Because normally the co-creation process is not for people with different level of cognitive level, and so we create some tools like a board game. Yes, we create, for example, a board game that is a game that can be done by a group of people with disability, but also with other people, to help people to express their ideas about how they feel when they go out, when they go in a place, in a public place. So with another tools that we create for the co-creation project sessions was the Mind Inclusion Diary. This was an instrument that promote awareness and the presence of people with disabilities in the experience they live. This could favoring also the ability to express their idea, their opinion on the activities they are living and the place they attend. Finally, we use the explore game, so activity of exploration of the territory, of the public places, and to give the opportunity to discover other places in group. And finally, the last instrument is the contextual observation that it's an instrument for the educators of involved in the co-creation process to gather information from the users, from the participants of the experience. So Mind Inclusion is a methodology that facilitates inclusion. Because the inclusion is understood as a perspective of changing the context. It's also a different way of relating with the external context, and it's a calling for educators to leave their familiar environment, their services, and create new relationship. So we try to promote a new way to be educator, and this is a process, and Mind Inclusion app could facilitate this process. Because using the app, we have to meet new subjects, new people, new places, and create new relationship. So thanks to the use of the app, we can train people with disability and business user to enter in relationship, and also train business user to be more inclusive, giving some practical strategies, not complicated strategies, like communication way to enter in relationship with people with disabilities, or give some attention to the way to communicate something, or for a bar, for example, some strategies to create the menu, or how to remove some also some physical barriers inside the place. The mind inclusion approach give the possibilities to train a business user about the possibilities that everyone can have to meet the diversity, meet the disability, and to be inclusive in a simple way. Also, we try to facilitate the meeting and between people with disabilities and business users, so with the territory. But also to promote with using the app the discover of what the territory, the area offers, like bars, restaurants, hotel, library, shops. So we have a lot of category that we put inside the app because we want to promote the discovery of a lot of places, and we can create also other categories inside the app. And the final goal is to create a new community around the Mind Inclusion app and share with this new community composed by a lot of different subjects a new idea of inclusion. So this is maybe the most important goal of the Mind Inclusion. I give the Valeria, the floor.
Hi everyone, next slide please. Okay, let's talk about pilot session. And pilot session is aimed to implement the work done during the Mind Inclusion work, Mind Inclusion project, which is the Mind Inclusions app, with a limited group of people with disabilities, in order to check if what we developed meets the needs for which it was designed. For this reason, different pilot sessions ran in 3 different countries: Italy, France, and Italy, Lithuania, and Spain, sorry, and lasted almost 4 weeks. Its realization foresees 2 different phases. The first phase was a preliminary stage, as you can see, and it was an engagement work so that the business user could register their location and their activities in the Mind Inclusions app, and they were able to participate during the pilot session. Also, they were pushed to think about what they could do to become more inclusive. It was a very important point of this project. Next one, the next slide. The second phase was the work with end users, so with the people with disability, to taste the app. So this was a session with 3 steps. In the first step, we contacted the users who were interested in participating in this project, and organized a group meeting to explain the purpose of the project and how the pilot performed. And during this meeting, we used the Mind Inclusion game board that Alice already told and explained, and the diary. So we try to understand the tastes and preferences of people with disabilities, and we try to understand how they felt when they went out in the territory, and if they felt included or not. So during the second step, we decided where to go and when and how. We show the app helping with installation and use. And finally, we went to the places they choose and asked them to write their first review of the places. And we've got the third step. In the first step, we kept in touch with users, and we tried to suggest to go somewhere else with someone who was not an educator, for example, a caregiver or a parent, and try to choose another place and try to leave another review. And in this way, we try to promote their autonomy in this way. It is important now to underline that every session of this work were evaluated through different interviews. In this way, we can have and collect some data and some impression, which is very precious and important for our future work. And for example, we discovered that for every actor in this project, this project was a positive experience. In fact, business users became very sensitive and aware of this theme of inclusion, very sensitive to the theme of exclusion. Business users also encounter some difficulties in registering their location, their activity in the app. So we understood that we have to simplify the procedure. This is an important feedback for our work. Furthermore, some business users have advised us how to make an app-related advertising which is captivating. And they advise us to do more effective short videos and something like this. From the point of view of the educators, they said that they were able to give finally space to the experience, to the feelings and preferences of people with disabilities. And finally, some people with disability expressed their happiness and satisfaction with the project, not only because they could use the app, but because this kind of work, with this approach, gave them new possibilities. For example, new places to visit, new relationships to build, and an increase of self-determination. And also they said that they felt an increase of people's skills in approaching them and responding to their needs properly. So I finished, and I let Andrea tell you something about the dissemination program.
Just telling you that on the 25th there will be another webinar with always from the GoToGate, and we will be talking about this project in Italian. Then there will be some trainings that we are doing for educators that are in Italian. So if some educator is interested to know more about the app and the methodology, can subscribe. And then there will be other two webinars that we will realize on the 2nd and on the 3rd of December. So if someone is interested, can contact me, because we are still building them. So thank you, everybody. Of course, a call to action. So download the app, try it, and let us know what you think about. Here there are some contacts. We wanted to show also a short video presentation, but we are out of time already. So we will copy and paste the link in the question and answer section. So thank you, everybody. We'll share the presentation if someone is interested.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you, Alice and Valeria. It was very interesting to learn more about the Mind Inclusion 2.0 project, a very innovative approach you developed. There is maybe some question. I am not sure Luca is actually available, or I'm not sure Luca can reply to the question.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, great. So Anna sent a question directly to you. She's asking if people with disabilities are also involved in the restaurant sales activities or just in the agricultural ones. So this is the first question.
No, can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, we can hear you. A bit far.
Okay,
but...
so the people with disabilities directly hired or internship or users of social service are involved to every single activities. So yes, in the correct way, in a sustainable way to everyone, and related with his personal education program. So maybe in different fields, different activities, but in some way that is not a total way, maybe just a fraction of the work. So maybe in the preparation, maybe in the maybe serving, but it depends also about the disability that which the user have, and what's the program about it. So.
Thank you, Luca. I think it was clear. And then Anna is also asking if non-disabled staff is prepared or trained to accompany and work with the people with special needs.
Yes, there is some, we have an equipe every week, meetings and equipe, we provide information about it, but we require some soft skill, some respect to people who's not directly an educator or social worker. So we require some skills, not just the professionality we aim for. So it's a mixed information. Plus, we give an internal information about the subject itself. So with the presentation of his clinical case and his I don't know how to say his history, okay, personal history, but we also have some formation during the working hours. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Luca. And then I think there is a question that was for Luca, but I think it can be extended to every one of the speakers who wish to reply. What are the biggest challenges you have faced in terms of inclusion, if there are any, before the coronavirus pandemic, and how have you coped with these kind of challenges? I don't know if some of you wishes to reply.
Okay, I can answer about Mind Inclusion.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mind Inclusion app is an instrument to discover places outside. So now in this period that we cannot go out like before and go in the restaurant, in the bar, and in the public places like before, it's not so easy to use and promote this app in this period. So the challenge is to continue to train business user, also using the more free time that somebody have in this period, and train them about the methodology and the way to be more inclusive. So in this moment we are organizing some trainings with them and prepare the soil for what happens when we can go out. When we are free again to go out. So we are preparing now the next step.
Thank you very much. Does someone else want to add something?
Yeah, I can add a point. It's probably not the biggest challenge for everybody, but for example, in one study we have done in GATE, I analyzed the available information about accessible touristic offers in different countries. They are at a different level. Some have some framework to check offers and give certification for it with detailed descriptions by experts, also disabled persons. Others have, as I explained, when you go down more on the regional level, they have many different platforms, websites with some information that you should get together. But the interesting thing from our project, which is mainly about access to nature parks, hiking routes, this kind of thing, in these information platforms, the share of these checked and certified offers is minimal. You get a lot about hotel rooms, maybe transport offers, but for example, hiking routes, there are only few. For example, you have a platform that has 5,000 offers there, and then maybe 50 are some nature-related activities. So if you want to raise that, there must be a way to push it. Of course, the providers, they are working hard, but it's obviously it seems more difficult to check a hotel room than, for example, a hiking pass. Huh? So there is of course a level of difficulty there. And I looked into formal platforms and platforms by the communities, and there is one big community. It's called the Ewan's Guide, started by a disabled person. A big community, excellent website, but also in this case, these nature-related activities are quite minimal, and also you cannot expect too much from the person. There are some very active ones, so-called ambassadors. They are very active, checking a lot of reviewing a lot of sites, places. And this information is not that formal, like in this let's say official platforms. It's more about there are some short review statements, and so if a person that is disabled has a certain disability, says that place is accessible, I could do this, it was nice or fun, so that's really a message for somebody. So this can be a way to expand it. And well, but you cannot well expect too much. So the level, there is an imbalance between users and providers in any case. And interesting, the Mind Inclusion app, there's a difference there, because the platforms I have been talking about is just information. Okay, there is for example a hotel rooms, stations, hiking paths. So you want to get the facts, you want to get real-time, reliable, detailed information, so you can say, okay, that's something for me, I will go there. But this app, Mind Inclusion, that has really also, of course, or mainly an activity for the persons with disability themselves. So they can go out to places with others. They do this tagging. They say, okay, this place is nice. This is could access this and so on. but the real well, advantage of it is that they get a self-esteem. They're out together with others. They detect new places. So there's a difference there. But there is, of course, both are very important.
Thank you very much, Guntram. I don't know if Andrea wants to add something.
But first of all, I would like to thank Guntram for for mentioning, and yes, I think it's two levels of two different kinds of platforms that have anyway potential also for interaction. And well, I was also thinking that I mean, while we were while Guntram and also while Luca was talking before, I was thinking about how to collaborate also with them, because I think that your sites, I mean, both the sites of the GATE project and the Fattoria Sociale of Luca would be the perfect places that we would like to review within the Mind Inclusion app. So I think that this could be very nice to collaborate about. It would be really nice. Thank you.
Definitely, it would be interesting to advertise and disseminate and make these places more and more known. If there is no other question, anyways, you can reach the speakers out. We will share with you the presentations and their contacts. So thank you very much. I don't know if Fabiana from Dolomiti UNESCO would like to add something.
Yes, thank you, Eva.
Thank you, Fabiana.
Just I want to briefly thank all the speakers for very interesting speech and congratulate them on all the beautiful projects presented. And I also thank all the participants, and I hope to see you at the next GATE workshop scheduled. So good afternoon to everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. See you. Bye-bye.